everybody. I haven't done a video in a while. It's been probably at least a couple years. I got a different setup since then. As you can see, a lot of guys went with this new Lone Wolf custom stuff. Kind of went over my last setup, went through some climbing, how to set the sticks, how to get up a tree, how to hold the tree, how to balance in there, what foot to put where, and I went through some mechanics on that level. Today I'm just going to kind of go through the basic setup that I've learned now over the last couple of years since these have come out, what I've catered it to be, and so on and so forth, how it carries well, all of those good things that are helpful and useful when you're out there. First of all, this is the 1.0 setup, the custom gear. It's got the backpack straps with the waist belt. There's no reason not to get the waist belt. That's probably the best feature for as far as anything carrying wise. I tend to carry a lot of gear. I get cold, so I've almost every time I've got a backpack on here with an extra jacket or whatever equipment I'm going to need in addition to the stand and the weight of that. So I want as much support as I can get. I'm a little guy, and that percentage ratio that you put on my back at 130 pounds is, you put 30 pounds on here, that's a lot higher percentage than 30 pounds on a guy that weighs 200 pounds. So it definitely has an effect on the way it balances and stuff, and the waist belt is definitely key. So basically, to go over this, obviously we've got a gear strap here, a gear cord. What I've done to secure that is I use this method a lot. I've got about 25 feet, so there's nothing that I can't get, that's not gonna be able to reach from the height of the stand set. But I've put a bungee on here, so when you wrap it, there's no metal involved, there's no noise involved, and you wrap it and then you just stretch it and it's on. You don't have to mess with tying it off or anything. So it's kind of one of the key points to a lot of my setup. It's on the sticks too, and it's on the stand daisy chain that I've got on there. So that's a key point. Use the bungees. You can get them anywhere. You can buy bungee cord. You can buy 50 feet of it, different sizes and stuff. Figure out what works and go from there. So that's the key part. I did get the Sidekick, which is a phenomenal addition. Much prefer that. I used to use the third hand archery bow holder, which is great. They work fantastic. They're quiet. They hold up. All that. But what I found is, as I'm carrying this, that is sticking off, and it would constantly be grabbing everything from branches to cattails as I'm walking through, and you end up trying to just pull yourself away most of the time and trying to be quiet, and it was a bigger pain than it was worth. So I've gone with that, and it's probably one of the better additions. So if you haven't gotten that yet, I would definitely say get it. Another feature while it's faced this way that I've jumped onto is this is I want to say it's a commander pouch. I can't really remember, but it's a really nice feature to throw on the bottom of your seat. It just snaps on, and it's somewhat quiet. It's not loud, and it carries. I got rope in there. I put calls in there. I got a knife in there. It also, it just helps stabilize underneath here. Otherwise, the stand leans way back, and with a pack on there, it's even more so. So it adds a little bit of stability when you set that stand down as well. So you can add a whole bunch of stuff to it, whatever you want to carry in there. And it's just one of those out of the way things, that you're not having to put in your pack and rumble through that. And it's accessible. It's right below as you sit on the stand. It's right below, and you're able to do it. The other benefit to this is when the stand is up, that when the seat is sitting and flipped in the upright position on the tree, hopefully you can see that. I know if I go high, this comes down, and I don't have this perfectly level here, but basically you can set these ropes in here to kind of almost be a little shelf system. And when you flip this, that's why it's not holding, but when that seats up, now you've got a system where you can access different things inside here, and it can hold your calls. You can, put your release in whatever you want to set in there, gloves, all of that stuff, and it's a shelf system. It's just easy access. Grab it, grunt, throw it back on there. Now you're ready to grab your bow and shoot. So I would definitely recommend that. They're $20 is all it is, 25 bucks. And you can get them in camel, whatever color you want. So definitely an investment worthwhile when it comes to that. So get them and use them. It's good stuff. I'm going to go into the packing of my stand and what I've done to pack my stand up. That's really a lot of what I focus on personally, is the packability of this. How it works, what I do to eliminate the bulk and pack it up tightly so it's consistent. So obviously that's the cord in there. Went over that already. The sticks, I've gone to daisy chain, as you can see. Am still daisy chain stuff. It's pretty popular now. Most guys can get it. I actually had this stuff custom made with 1-inch holes instead of 1.5-inch holes, so I can get that better fit as it's going around a tree, and it's not so spaced out. And with the smaller, I can't recall what they call them on here, but with the smaller, narrower stick, posts, if you will, that you can put that on, it works really well. So that's a benefit. Again, I've got bungee on the end of here, and we'll get to that in just a minute here. So I always put my cables here towards the bottom, so they're kind of down and out of the way. Otherwise, when you go to put the sticks on here, they can definitely, those cables will be riding circled up in here, and it pushes the stick out of what secures it here. So I don't want that. I want to be able to have these sticks fit in there as flush as I can. Ultimately, what I do really wish that they would make is when you put these sticks together, that somehow they stay together. And the same with the stand, that they just click into the stand with some kind of a release. That would be fantastic. But you get what you get. It's what they're making. It's the best stuff out there. So what I do now is I've been using the J-hooks. On these J-hooks, what I did was I wrapped, I don't know if you can see that. I don't see how the camera's viewing here. I just do it with my cell phone. So I've wrapped this with tubing and just kind of melted it with shrink tube, electrical shrink tube, and melted it around here. So now it's quiet. You're not putting these through and tinging everything around. It's just another thing that you can do. On the post here on the seat, as well as on the sticks, I actually, you might be able to see a little bit of it here, the shiny part. I actually kind of grounded this off a little bit, rounded it, because these edges are really sharp. And I don't care if you use a strap or if you use daisy chain, eventually that cuts, and that will cut into either the strap or the daisy chain. So, round that off, and then I even put the stealth strips on here. I don't like that silent touch tape that Custom Wolf has now. It moves. It doesn't seat. It's really sticky, but you can literally take that tape and move it after it's been applied, and it'll push up out of the way, and you end up cutting the stuff again. So I use it here and there, but I don't use it for applications like this. You see, I did go with the aiders. The nice thing that I've noticed about the aiders, I use them a lot early season if I want, if I need. But late season, I don't like them as much because you've got bigger boots. You've got bigger, you just can't get your boot in and out of them as well. You're reaching down trying to find a hole to put your boot through, and then it gets stuck on your boot as you're trying to pull it out. So I typically use it a little bit early season, and then I'll just use the mini sticks from there. But you don't need to use the aider cable. You can simply just use these pegs, or the steps I should say. Instead of that, this can stay on. You can still wrap this on the tree, and this is still thin enough to stay out of your way stepping up the tree. So it took me a minute or two to figure that part out too. I was like, man, I don't like this or that, and that's what I kind of came down to the conclusion of and figured out. So now how I pack these is how most guys are going to pack them. I'm going to try to do this here so you can see. Obviously, but as soon as the other thing, before I do that, I wrap the daisy chains around, and here's another bungee right here. So I wrap them around, and this is just kind of where that bungee ends up. I put it right on a peg. Everything's central lined and out of the way. There's really no thickness or bulk here, so the sticks still go together really well. Bungees are out of the way, and I've never had one come off. So a lot of guys will be like, well, that's going to come off. They don't. They hold up pretty well in there. So putting this on the stand here. Stool's kind of weird with my cable there. So running this through regular J hook, hooking it on the back side. I'm going to do my other side here too, and I'll show you why this is important in just a minute. With how I strap stuff together, I hate stuff hanging off. I'm very particular when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I don't want noise. I don't want stuff dragging. It's a pet peeve of mine that will drive a guy insane. So I'm very picky with how I set this stuff up and set it to be successful and quiet, and to ultimately, hopefully make you successful. That's the whole point of these systems is, being quiet and having them compact to get back where you need to. So the last point that I do is I run this out when I'm setting or putting the sticks back on, and this, which is a daisy chain that holds the stand on, all it does is goes around these pegs of the J hooks, and here's your bungee again. Done. It's tight. Nothing is coming off of these, and they're held tight. One of the things I did mention too is I actually strap this is my milkweed. It's just a coin pouch. I have coin pouches hanging off me all over the place, but this is on the bottom of the stand. I like these because they're super quiet. They make no noise. You can pull tufts out of it and just let it go. It's hung right on the bottom of my stand, so I just reach down as I'm sitting, and away you go. So that's pretty much it as far as the basis of the stand goes. I'll probably do another one where I've got my pack on and how I secure that here, and then in the next short video. It'll be pretty quick. So just want to kind of go over the basis of how I like everything to pack together. I specifically like the mini sticks. I don't like the double sticks. They ride in center. They put weight off your back farther. That's the last thing I want. It's actually worse to have less weight farther off your back than it is to have more weight closer to your back. So as close as I can get the weight to my back, to the flat of my back, the better off you are, and it allows you to carry more without feeling fatigued because it's centralized to your core. So make sure that you're thinking of those types of things as you're putting your setup together, whatever setup it is. It's really important to not have sticks that stand 4 or 5 or 6 high off the back of your stand. That pull on your back is definitely going to take its toll over time. So that's it for today. Thanks.